By the way, you guys have a Keurig, right? By the way, this is for
No.
all you people listening to the podcast and YouTube. Okay. Well, if you have a Keurig, hot cocoa, doesn't matter what kind of hot cocoa. That's not the important part. But the tiny candy canes
Okay.
in the cup, hit the button, make hot cocoa. You'll thank me later.
Okay.
Why did you guys get rid of your Keurig? Or when?
We haven't had that for a long time.
Oh, okay. Well,
It was a cleanliness issue for us.
yeah.
We just didn't like it as much.
I can get it, but I need coffee, and I'm the only one that drinks it. And if I make a pot, I'm drinking an entire pot plus. So,
Mm.
okay, you ready? 3,
Yes, sir.
1. And we're live here on Facebook. Like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also like to welcome my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. So, started off the Memorial Day weekend a day early as I took today off.
Man, if I would have known, we could have recorded at like 2 in the afternoon.
But we were kind of busy this afternoon. We were kind of busy this afternoon
Okay.
as we were shopping for a replacement car. So,
Okay.
so how was your week, Mike?
It was very busy. It was
Very busy,
extremely
okay.
busy. I was there were 2 days I was the only one there. And I have I also, when my boss leaves town, I tend to be the one that takes the role of the quote unquote technical director. Like, am I really? No. But do I have to make some decisions sometimes, and do I have to do things sometimes that make it seem like I'm the technical director? Yes.
Gotcha.
So as I did that, we basically just got things ready to go. Or so I had all that responsibilities. Plus, we had Chromebook turn in because the last day of school was this week. So I had to organize getting all the Chromebooks collected in the middle school, high school, get those done. Had to get 2 interns hired and started, and then all the craziness that goes with that. So, but it's a good week. We made it to Friday. I only worked a half day today. So, let's do this. Rich, we got a big show today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We do, Mike. We'll be talking the playoffs as we finally have Eastern Conference. We finally have conference championships in both the NBA and the NHL, as well as the NASCAR corner, which we always talk about. And what's special about this weekend within the auto sports or NASCAR corner, Mike?
Well, we got the Indy 500 and the Coke 600, so we're going to have the 1,100 miles to race this week. Plus, we're going to go in to talk about football and baseball, all that and more. But, Rich, what's it time to do?
Mike, why don't you go and roll that intro?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, before we get into anything this week, we got to come up with which is better, Canadian bacon or bacon, our poll question of the week.
It was. So, Mike, it was a no-brainer for me. Bacon.
Bacon. 100% bacon. Let me get to it.
And how did the people vote? I know it wasn't a clean sweep. I just don't know how many people voted for Canadian bacon.
Sorry, I gotta get to it because it's not at the top right now, and I don't know why.
So Mike, I know just as a filler, Mike, crispy bacon or chewy bacon?
Chewy bacon. All day, every day. I love chewy bacon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
I gotta go chewy bacon, too.
I don't know why you would do anything but chewy bacon. Like, chewy bacon is a king. Did it get put on the fan site this week, or did it only get put on the Because all I'm seeing is rice checks and shredded wheat.
Weird. Let me see if I can find it here on this fan page. I know I saw it. It didn't randomly disappear. Okay, I've got it up in front of me, Mike. It looks like, Mike, that we had 10 votes for bacon. Shout-outs going to Debbie Scranton Washburn, Sue Hart, Matt Johnson, Ron Lehmans, Josh Hendricks, my brother, Gail Welchman, you, Mike, Tim Flanker, myself, and Nathan Ross. Our lone voter for bacon, for Canadian bacon, was Mickey, a roterer.
Mikey, a roterer. Yeah, I'm not finding it. I don't know how you're finding it, bud.
I found it. It was on both pages, so I found it through going by looking at it on the Facebook app on my phone.
Well, that's fine and all, but I wish I could find it.
All right, so that was our first round 2 matchup. And Mike, when I was going through trying to make a round 2 for the cereal, I almost thought that I messed things up. Because I could have swore on my my Google document where I list everything for the matchups, I could have swore I had Cheerios listed twice, with Cheerios winning twice. But having some time this morning, free, I did go through and to find all of our previous posts, and did find that I did not do 2 polls with Cheerios. It was one of the polls was a Honey Nut Cheerios that I used, so I corrected that.
Good.
So I was almost worried that we'd almost have to do a wild card matchup to even up the bracket. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, our first cereal round 2 poll will be Cinnamon Toast Crunch against Alphabets.
Oh, okay. That's an easy one.
Yeah. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Alphabets. I will try and get it up tonight once we're done talking.
Okay. Rich, with that, I don't see it anywhere. Okay, I'm done. With that, let's go into playoffs. In the NBA, the Nuggets were eliminated by the Timberwolves 4-3 in that Game 7 match. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pacers are down 2 games to the Boston Celtics. Game 3, Saturday night. In the Western Conference Finals, the Mavericks play the Timberwolves, which means, well, we'll get to that in just a second. Game 2 is currently being played. Rich, tell us about the NHL.
Yeah, the NHL, the Eastern Conference Final is the Rangers, the team that I picked to win the Stanley Cup, are currently playing the Panthers, with Game 2 currently being played. Florida is up 1-0. And in the Western Conference Finals, it's the Dallas Stars, the team that eliminated your Golden Knights, playing the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton is up 1-0. Game 2 is on Saturday. So, Mike, being up in northwest Iowa,
a lot of people are excited.
Support there. A lot of supporters for the Minneapolis teams. Yep. Is there some chatter or excitement about the Timberwolves going to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Totally. Yeah, people are excited for it. We have people that we had a preview night for we had our, so this week was the last week of school, and 8th graders do a capstone presentation every year. And during capstone presentation, there was in the teachers' lounge, they had a TV on to watch the Timberwolves play. Gotcha.
So that's cool. It's always neat. I mean, I know that I'm sure that if the Minnesota Wild were doing as well as we thought, or at least I thought they might, with the NHL, I'm sure that they would have the same supporters coming out of the woodwork.
Speaking of two teams doing well,
fans.
How about Dallas? They're in contention for Titletown, but we know they'll never get it. Why, Rich? The Dallas Cowboys. Both the Stars and the Mavericks are doing quite well. There's a good possibility they both end up in the finals, respectively.
And you got to remember that the Texas Rangers are coming off a World Series championship.
And the Rangers just won the World Series. So 3 of the 4 might be in Dallas, but we all know that we won't see Dallas getting a Super Bowl anytime soon.
No, I still say the problem in Dallas is that they need a new general manager.
But Rich, the owner loves the general manager more than he loves anybody else in the world.
Yeah, I know, because the owner and the general manager are the same person.
Yep, that's true.
But
and he loves himself more than he loves his children.
Yeah, I know. It still amazes me that, if you looked at if you could separate, if Jerry Jones could separate himself from being the owner and looking at the track record, and how his teams perform, as the general manager, Jerry Jones, the owner, would want to fire Jerry Jones, the general manager.
Rich, if you were the general manager and you've performed over the last 30 years the same way Jerry Jones has as the general manager, you would have been fired before Mike McCarthy got the job.
Probably.
By the way, you probably get fired 3 years after they stop winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have made it if I was assuming that one of us was the general manager during the Super Bowl years.
Yeah,
I don't think we would have made it out of the Bill Parcells era.
Oh no,
you had the Bill Parcells, the Dave Campo to. Yeah, we wouldn't have made it out of that era.
I don't think so, and that's a problem.
Let alone to the Jason Garrett.
Oh yeah, we would
have Mike McCarthy era.
You would have never seen Jason Garrett play under your tutelage if you were the general manager back when back when they were winning the Super Bowl. You wouldn't have been anywhere near that. But with that, Rich, do you see what's coming up next?
Mike, is it a left-hand turn?
It is, and after that, Rich?
Is it another left-hand turn?
It is, and why is that, Rich?
Well, Mike, because we're going to go into the NASCAR Corner. The NASCAR Corner is presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. They're in Moline, Illinois, down on 5th Avenue, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. So, Mike, last week was the All-Star Race in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
Yep.
Tell them how we did, Mike.
Rich, my guy came in second. Your guy came in 7th. Great positions, but the All-Star race only counts if you pick the winner, and the winner was Joey Logano. I picked Denny Hamlin. You picked Ross Chastain. It's an all-or-nothing race. So for the guys, they that's all it is. There's no points. There's nothing awarded. So we do the same thing. And I still have a lead of 9-8. Rich, but that's not the biggest story to come out of North Wilkesboro. Nobody really cares about the winner.
No.
Everybody's talking about something else.
If you just looked at the race, the guy that won the pole, what led all but 5, maybe even 2 to 5 laps, and
but nobody cares
really
about who won the pole.
Yeah, kind of an uneventful race.
Nobody cares about the race at all. Nobody. All anybody cares about is a fight afterwards.
That's right. There was a big fight between Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but not just between those two individuals.
Nope, Dad got involved.
Their Ricky Stenhouse Sr. got involved.
Yep.
Crew members got involved. And that seemed to be what was getting the news cycle around NASCAR this week, was talking about those fights. Talking about that fight. The end result of it was that, 4 crew members from two crew members from Stenhouse's team are suspended for a couple of races, and Ricky Jr. got fined $7,500.
$75,000.
Oh, $1,000. Thank you.
$1,000. Like, you missed a couple zeros there, Rich. I guess a zero. But okay, you know what? That's fine and dandy, and I'm okay with all of that. Here's the problem I have, because my problem isn't. I mean, so one, NASCAR basically said the reason the fine was so high was because Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had an hour and a half to cool off before the fight.
Well, I think even he said that if this had been a normal race and he could have left when after he was cleared from medical, that maybe there wouldn't have been a fight.
Yep.
But because he was stewing in street clothes in the infield, waiting in his trailer, watching the race.
Yeah.
He decided that he couldn't let it go.
The other side is that he didn't. It's not that he like. So yes, it took an hour and a half for him to get there. But that was like, if that's what you're saying, the problem is, then your problem isn't with the fight. So you can't say you're suspending. You're fining him for the fight. You're fining him because he didn't cool off enough. I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. And then if you're saying, no, we're fining him for the fight, then why is the fine so excessive? Well, because he didn't cool off. Then you're not fining him for the fight, you're fining him for not cooling off. Sorry, that doesn't work. 2, you're fining him $75,000. But Rich, you're on social media.
Mm-hmm.
What's the only thing you saw this week from the NASCAR race?
With that fight, how many different angles there were?
And every day, it seemed like every day this week, a new angle of that fight, a different person's cell phone, a different cameraman, a different this, a different that, popped up on social media. And where on social media did it come from? It wasn't from the fans. You saw it popping up on your NASCAR fan page, your NASCAR page.
Mm-hmm.
So NASCAR is using this fight as promotional material? Timeout. So NASCAR can use it for its gain. So now NASCAR is going to earn what, $500 million to get, because they're getting eyes on this, so they could sell the advertising, blah blah blah. They're going to get $500 million on that advertising revenue, probably. And then on top of it, they're going to take $75,000 from the guy that provided them all that revenue. I'm sorry, there's no reason why you should be taking money from Ricky Stenhouse right now. Maybe you should. You're right. He did get in a fight. But if you look at normal, what other people have done in the past, it's about a third of that. A third to a quarter of that. Other fights you see at 25,000, 15 to 25,000 is the standard for a fight in the pits. You're going to triple that because the guy didn't cool down in time, in your opinion.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it either.
That's
I mean,
not
I think
good.
my wife, I think Amy said something about it. It's like, did Ross Chastain get fined that much, or Noah Gregerson get fined that much when they fought?
Nope.
In Kansas last year?
Nope. I think that was the 10 or 15. It might have been $20,000. You can't tell me that you're gonna it's not a fair fine. Ricky Stenhouse needs. Now here's the problem though. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has the ability to say, hey, I want to appeal this. 100% in his prerogative. They go to an arbiter outside of NASCAR. If it gets ruled down to, okay, we're going to put it at what the normal thing is, 15 to 20,000. Sure. Now what's NASCAR going to do? NASCAR now has said, we think you owe us $75,000 because you did stuff wrong. And you then appealed it, and now we lose the challenge. Now there's a target on his back. Any violation that man does, he's going to get fined until he pays that $75,000. Yo.
No, finish your train of thought.
No, I'm just saying, he's going to get fined for his shoelace was untied when he got in his car. He's going to get fined $5,000. His crew member's helmet cam fell off, and the car took it with it out of a pit box. $15,000. They're going to fine this team and him until they get their $75,000 out of him. Is it worth it to make this appeal?
I don't think so. So one thing that just came to mind, Mike.
Yep.
Could the fact of what Ricky Stenhouse did after exiting the track have made a difference in that fine? Because he also, as he was coming off the track, he didn't go straight to the garage. He parked his car in Kyle Busch's stall, got out, and didn't just exit the racetrack. He climbed up and got into his face, got up into the crew chief's face to voice his displeasure with what their driver did to him, and then left, which caused some additional caution laps because the wrecker had to come get it, instead of it being pushed or driven to the garage by Stenhouse.
So you could probably argue that that's another. Now the problem is that's not what they fine. If they would have given him two separate fines, if they say $25,000 for this, plus you got to pay the wrecker. We're going to charge you a wrecker fee of $10,000 plus hazardous parking another $10,000. They could have stacked and gotten their $75,000 out of it. I think you're 100% correct. The reason that it was so high might be related to him parking it where he parked it and doing all the things he did. But what they stated and their facts that they have used does not indicate that.
Okay, just an observation that just came to mind. I didn't even thought about.
No, that's a great observation. Great observation.
Could what he did before exiting the race have contributed to the amount on the fine? But yes, you're right. NASCAR is deciding to just focus and talk about the fine as just for the fight and what happened after the race.
Yep. So, Rich,
do you think there will be another fine?
Oh.
Because he came out and flat out said, I'm wrecking him at Charlotte. Could there be another fine, whether it's found to be intentional or unintentional, if those two are involved in a wreck at the Coke 600?
If it doesn't matter what happens, if those two are involved in a wreck this weekend, yes, Ricky Stenhouse will be fined. By the way, even if Kyle Busch is the one that causes it, it still ends up a problem for Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Okay.
If you don't make those statements, by the way, and you go and wreck him, you just wreck him, they won't fine you for it. But he will get fined. He might get suspended if he does. 100% believe that that's what's going to happen. Speaking of the Coke 600, we need to talk about it. We have 1,100 miles of racing to talk about. The first is actually the Indy 500. We'll leave that to second because we don't know it as well. We'll actually talk about what we know, and that's NASCAR and the Coke 600 at Charlotte. Rich, this is anybody's match. This is a home match for everybody. This is where everybody's based out of. 99% of the guys. It's not everybody, but 99% of the guys are based out of Charlotte. You get to sleep in your own bed this weekend. It's going to be a good weekend. Plus, you want to win at the track there. It's a huge day. It starts in the late evening, in the twilight golden hours, just before the golden hour, but goes through the golden hour and into the night. It's an extra 100 miles. That's huge on the body. Rich, you and I have driven across the country before, right?
Yes, we have.
And that last 100, we switch off drivers, and there's times where you're like, oh man, I'm really tired, but we have to get to this destination. That last 100 miles can be terrible. Even if we put in 500 miles today, start to finish, put in 500 miles, then the next day we're putting in another 500, but then we realize the hotel is actually an extra 100 miles, so we have to put in 600. That extra 100 miles really takes a toll on you. So watch out for that. These guys are going to be whooped. One guy even more than others. We'll get to that in a second. But, Rich, who are you? Well, we'll talk about it now. Who are you staying away from, and why?
Well, Mike, there are three people that I'm not picking. I'm not going to put them in my fantasy lineup, even though they're on like little NASCAR's list of like on like must starts and sleeper, and it's Ricky Stenhouse and Kyle Busch. You know that one of those two, if not both of them, are going to be involved in a wreck.
Yep.
So I don't want them anywhere. I don't think there's a chance that either of them will play a part in this race. I'll be watching them to see what happens during the race, but I'm not going to pick them to win. And the other guy is Kyle Larson.
Yep.
I think that there's, due to the weather forecast in Indianapolis, there's a chance that the Indy 500 will be delayed, either the start or there'll be a rain delay, a red flag within the race, and they've already said that if he exits the car to leave the race, that the car is disqualified. They can't just swap in a different driver. They have to finalize who the driver is going to be of that vehicle at the start of the race. And there's also the chance that I think they also brought up with, well, what happens if he ends up winning the Indy 500? Would he actually leave the victory? If there was a time crunch to get to Charlotte in time, would he forego the victory lane celebration and passing up on the opportunity to get the trophy and drink the milk and have the interview, just so he can hop on the chopper to get down to Charlotte in time?
Yeah.
So there's a chance that Kyle Larson may have to make a tough decision on, well, what's more important, finishing or doing the Indianapolis 500 and taking a chance that you might not be able to get to Charlotte on time, or is his primary paycheck going to win out? And if there's any obstacles that are going to cause him to not make it to the Coke 600, will he forego and not race in Indianapolis? So I'm not going with Kyle Larson.
Yeah, that's not a bad. I don't blame you on that. So right now I am looking at the number of people who have done double duty. I'm not seeing many. I think there's not a lot. Double duty history, it doesn't look like anybody has actually won the
one or the other.
I don't think I've seen anybody who's won the Coke 600 after winning the.
Well, I think, didn't you have Tony Stewart
got second in the Winston, which is what the 600-mile race used to be called.
Okay.
That's the highest that I've seen. Yeah, I should have been better prepared for this, but I'm not.
Well, that's okay. While you're looking that up, Mike, so the guy that I'm going to pick, I'm going to have to go with the Blue Oval Ford for this one, and I'm going to go with the guy that's had some close calls, close finishes, and who has a good track history at the Coke 600, and I'm going to go with Chris Buescher.
Okay, perfect. I pulled it right up. I just pulled it up right here. Nobody has ever won the Coke 600 after running the Indy 500. Nobody. The closest, I was wrong, it's actually Tony Stewart, and he got third in 2001.
And how did he do in the Indy 500?
He got
that
sixth.
A whole other thing. So he did six. So he made the top 10 in both races, but
yes.
Nobody's ever won both races.
Nobody's ever won both. Nobody's won either race while doing both.
All right, Mike. So before we give our picks for the Indy 500, I said I'm taking Chris Buescher because Ford seemed to be on a hot streak, and I think Chris Buescher is due. So who are you taking, Mike?
I am going to take Ross Chastain.
All right, I like the pick.
You would.
Like the pick.
Okay, Rich, as we've been talking about, we do have the Indy 500. At the Indy 500, Rich, I'm going to pick Ryan Hunter-Reay, as I think he'll do well this weekend.
All right, I'm going to go with Santino Ferrucci.
Okay. Are you going to watch both the races?
I am going to try,
Me too.
or at least try to watch as much as I can. We have some plans in the afternoon that's probably going to be while the Indy 500 is running. But since we'll be out in Coal Valley, I'm pretty sure Ron will have the race on.
Ron will have the race on. I know Ron. He'll have the race on. Okay.
He'll probably have both races on.
With that, Rich, let's keep making ovals as we finish talking about the Preakness Cup. Rich sees the Gray won the race. Tuscan Gold finished 4th. Uncle Heavy finished 6th. That means I've finished higher than you in the first race, and you finished higher than me in the second race in the Triple Crown. That means we head to the Belmont Stakes for the rubber match.
That's right. 8th. That won't be till June 8th. So we'll have a couple of shows. That might be a
solo show for you.
Could be a solo show. Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have to give me you'll have to pick a opponent off. We'll have to text back and forth before that show.
Yep.
So I can fill in the outline. Yeah. But the interesting thing I found out about Seize the Gray, that horse was crowdsourced. It has multiple stakes. It is not one sole owner.
Nice. I like it.
All right, Mike. So we're going to keep making left-hand turns. We're going to stay on the dirt, but we're going to go to the baseball diamond.
Yeah.
It was a rough week for the Cubs as they had 2 with the Pirates, 3 with the Braves, and currently the Cardinals game, which we originally factored into our number for the total number of wins for the week, is in a rain delay. Okay. So we will take off 1 game. So, Mike, they got 2 wins this week.
Yeah. Rich, here's a problem.
What's that?
16.
16, okay.
That's a terrible number. 16 hits in something like 10 games. That's a little under 1.5 games. No, that's significantly under. It's like 1 point. It's 1.6. No, I'm wrong. It's 1 point. Yeah, it's 1.6 runs, hits per game. Under a hit a game. That's all I'm saying. Or under 2 hits a game. How do you win? How do you win when you're hitting less than 2 hits a game?
You're having to rely a lot on your pitching staff to bail you out and not allow the other team to score runs.
We need Seiya Suzuki back. That's going to help.
He's back. But he's still. I think he still hasn't found his regained his form that he had early on in the season. You have Dansby Swanson back from the injured list, but he's still trying to regain his form. Get round into shape.
Why are we bringing
Eagle
guys?
Horner's been hurt.
If we're talking about these guys are still gaining their, then why are they back? They should still be in Des Moines rehabbing.
I don't even think they went to Des Moines or the Knoxville.
Yeah,
with the AA Smokies.
I don't care. They need to they need to do a little more rehab if they're not back in quote unquote, if they're still trying to find their form, they're not healthy enough to be in the game. You're putting up a subpar guy. We have other guys that can come up and take up the spot. I get it. These are the guys that you think are going to win us games. And I think when they're in full form, they are going to. But they're not playing in full form right now.
Well, Mike, I guess considering the hard week that they had going into Memorial Day weekend,
yep,
they're only 2 games back in the division with a record of 27-24.
And that's they're still over 500.
Yes, and if the playoffs started today, Mike,
yep,
they would be wild card number 2.
Okay, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that.
They would make the playoffs. They would make the playoffs because we normally do look at the standings. We'll give a quick standings update.
Yeah,
we won't go over who we picked, where our teams are doing. But you got Philly in control of the East and the best record in the National League at 37-14. The Dodgers would be your number 2 seed, The Brewers would be your number 3 seed. The Atlanta Braves would be wild card number 1. We said the Cubs were wild card number 2. And the San Diego Padres right now are your 3rd wild card.
Okay. Over in the American League, the Yankees have number 1. The Guardians have number 2. And the Mariners, which, by the way, the Mariners wouldn't even be a wild card team. They would be wild card team number 3 if they were in the National League, are in first place in the West. Just think about that. Your wild cards would be wild card number 1 is going to be the Royals. Wild card number 2 is going to be the Orioles. And wild card number 3, as it sits today, would be the Minnesota Twins.
That's right. So Mike, on the lower end, with as much trouble as the Oakland A's have right now, of maybe even trying, you could probably make an argument that they're fielding a 4A team. They're not the worst team in baseball, Mike.
I know. They're not even close.
No, the worst
Now, the team's not found. 404, that's a IT joke for all those IT people out there. They aren't even the top in the bottom 5.
So, Mike, the worst team in baseball
lives in Chicago.
The team we love to hate and be a punching bag. 15-36, the Chicago White Sox.
Their winning percentage is lower than their half their staff's hitting weight. And that's not true. But it's lower than my weight. That's crazy. I don't get it. By the way, teams at the bottom after that, you then have the Florida Marlins, the Rockies, the Reds, and the Angels. Reds and Angels are tied, by the way, at 400.
Yep. And Mike, you'll love to hear this. Your Houston Asterixes, or the Astros, 22-28 right now.
Good, make them lose more. I want them under the 250 line.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, now they lost the only reason you would remotely root for them, because Dusty Baker's no longer there.
Yup. I like Dusty, but man, even Dusty Baker couldn't salvage that team.
For you, in your eyes, he couldn't.
He did in your eyes?
I don't know. I was probably a little bit quicker to
don't do it.
Maybe not forgive, but at least forget about the cheating scandal.
Don't do it.
And I know you never will.
Don't do it. Same thing I would say about the Chicago Blackhawks. Don't give up. Make them pay. Anyway, let's move on. This week, between now and next week, we have 2 games in St. Louis, 4 games in Milwaukee, and then the Reds come to town for 1 game. Rich, with it, St. Louis and Milwaukee, those games are really tough for us. I'm only going to give them 2.
Okay.
I think, and here's why. Honestly, I think if they win tonight's game, it's a toss-up.
Tonight's game has been postponed.
Okay.
But they haven't said when the game will be made up. So I don't know if it's going to be a doubleheader this week or not.
I might move it up to 3. I might move it up to a 3rd win. I'm still going to say 2. The Cardinals are always a tough game, no matter what. Then 4 in Milwaukee, tough games. You might be at your home away from home, but man, you never sleep quite as well. Then you got a game with the Reds. That game we should win. There's no reason we should lose that game. But we pull one off in Milwaukee. I'm okay with that. I'd like to see them win more than that, but I don't know. I think at this point I'm only seeing 2.
I think I'm going to go with 3 wins.
Okay.
But I kind of agree with you with Milwaukee. Milwaukee is playing good baseball right now, and you know that they want the Bluebirds are going to be out with Craig Counsell.
Yeah.
With the Craig Counsell's first trip to Milwaukee since he left them.
Yep.
The Bluebirds are going to be out, so I don't know. You know those Brewers are going to want to win to show their manager that he made the wrong decision in leaving Milwaukee to go down the interstate to Chicago.
Yep.
So I think I'll go 3.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So moving off of the baseball diamond onto the spring football field.
Did you watch any?
Showboat. Nope, still haven't watched any.
Neither did I.
All right, the Memphis Showboats lost again, 24-18.
You picked a real losing team there, Rich.
I did. I did.
Okay. I picked the St. Louis Battlehawks. The Battlehawks won 36-22, coming back from that loss they took 2 weeks ago. They are at 6-2. Your Memphis, what is it again? Showboats.
Showboats.
Play DC comes to town, and what happens to my Battlehawks?
Well, they're going to go out to Arlington, Texas, to take on the Arlington Renegades.
Okay, now let's get to our NFL talk for the week, as we are going to talk about our international games. We start the year off with a game in Sao Paulo, Brazil, against the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Rich, you were telling me something interesting about this game.
I did. Supposedly that home stadium has an unofficial policy of no green in that stadium because of the main tenant of that stadium, because their rival wears green, so they have banned green from that stadium.
Well,
what are the 2 predominant colors of those teams, Mike?
Green. So are they both going to wear their blackout colors or their whiteout colors?
Well, I don't think. Well, could you go white on white? But they're still green on the Green Bay jersey, even if they went white on white.
Yeah, because the outline on their white on white says green.
Yeah, I think the Eagles have a black jersey that they could wear.
But I'm sure there's green somewhere on it.
Yeah, there's green on the helmet. They can't get away from that. So that'll be interesting to see. I like the matchup, Mike, but I don't like that it's week number 1.
I'm gonna push back. I don't like that the only place that you can watch it is Peacock or NFL Plus. What I like is, here's the deal. It's opening football Sunday.
Okay. So you like the fact that, assuming that you have Peacock or NFL Plus.
Wait, this is a night game. Never mind. I don't like it anymore. It's a night game. It's 7:15 Central Time on Friday.
Okay.
So is there a Thursday game, a Friday night game, and then no, I don't like it. I stopped. My original argument, I forgot they were in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I was thinking they were in London, where it's an 8:30 a.m. game, and you get football from 8:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. That I love for an opening. That's how you should do it opening weekend. But
just schedule that week 1 game to where you have an early morning international game that would start kickoff at 8.
Yep.
So you get an extra game in there?
Yep. Why wouldn't you? To me, that makes more sense. This Friday night game? No, thank you. I'm done. I don't like it. You sold me. Okay, week 2, we go to Tottenham.
Or just the next international game. Not necessarily week 2, just the next international game.
Week 5. A month later, actually. Exactly 1 month later. At 8:30 in the morning Central Standard Time, the Minnesota Vikings play host to the New York Jets in London at Tottenham Stadium. I like it.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good matchup. Yeah. Assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy.
Yeah.
It should be a good game.
And Aaron Rodgers can see who his teammates are going to be in 2 years, right?
Yeah. If he chooses to follow the Brett Favre's path of going and playing for the Vikings next.
Yeah, it'll be a year and a half to 2 years. He'll be playing with those guys. So gets him a good time to scout those guys. It'll be in a neutral site, so it won't be tampering when he starts talking to people.
All right, Mike. The next one will be October 13th, which is the next week, correct, Mike?
Yes, it is.
All right, it'll be the Jaguars playing the Bears.
The Bears!
In Tottenham Hotspur in London.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence going up against Caleb Williams, two guys that were the consensus number one overall picks in their drafts.
Yeah, I like it. I like it because it's the Bears. I don't like it because it's 8:30 in the morning, which means I'm probably going to miss part of the game while I'm at church.
Yeah, me too.
And then then I don't care about the games afterwards normally, so we'll go out to eat that day. So I may only get like 2 games in on that day. Week 7, Rich, is the next game. So we have 5, 6, and 7. We have games overseas in London, and this is the New England Patriots versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not even going to wake up. I'm not even going to record this on my DVR and watch it in double time.
Yeah.
It's at Wembley Stadium. That's cool. But outside of that, there's no reason for me to watch this.
Yeah, the Jags have a big advantage in that one. They are staying in London.
Yep.
So they'll play back-to-back games in London.
Time out.
The Patriots are a rebuilding team.
Time out. You could have just said the Jags have a huge advantage because they're a better team than the Patriots. Like, this feels like the Patriots should get to stay there for an extra week and make the Jaguars like fly home and then fly back before they get to play the game. Like,
so you're saying so there isn't as much of a home field advantage.
No,
they
I'm
should have
saying
to fly back to Jacksonville.
I'm saying to make the teams close to even, make the Jaguars be so tired from flying there and back, make them do it twice just to make them more tired because the New England Patriots are going to suck that bad this year.
Yeah, they are. I'm hoping that the Jared Mayo gets a couple years grace period while this team kind of rebuilds. I get the feeling that he's going to be the scapegoat, and he's not going to be the one to be able to see the rebuild process through the entire way. And Mike, our final international game is in Munich, Germany.
Worst game of the year.
The Giants and the Panthers.
Man, do we have another first-round pick from the Panthers next year, or is it a second round?
No, I think the Bears get a second-round pick next year.
So it'll be the number 1 pick of the second round. That'll be a good pick.
Here's hoping. Yeah, I
don't see the Panthers doing anything on this.
Kind of scratching my head on this one. I mean, New York.
New
York was terrible last year. The Panthers still got a lot to figure out.
Is this just to get eyes on these two teams because nobody wants to watch them? Like, what else are you gonna like? Who else is gonna watch this game?
Everybody, yeah. If this game was in the U.S.,
it's going to be a B game anywhere but Charlotte and New York. And if the Jets are playing at the same time, it's going to be a B game in New York, even though, makes no sense.
All right, 2025, we will pick up a
Real Madrid.
Yeah, six international games. Real Madrid will host an international game. And I could have swore I saw something about how they're wanting to try and go to Australia for an international game as well.
Ooh, can that be in 2027? I think, so legit, I'm not even kidding. So the next, you know how I fell in love with the eclipse a month ago? There's another eclipse in Australia in 2027. I'm really working hard to see if my wife will let us go to that one. And, you know, if there's an NFL game that weekend and an Australian rules football game that weekend, Yeah, it wouldn't happen, but
good luck with that one, Mike.
That
good
won't
luck.
happen. But hopefully there'll be an Australian rules football. I think it's in August, so there should be an Australian rules football match there.
All right, Mike. Anything else on the NFL before we go to our quick hits and maybe even have to issue out a spoiler alert?
Yeah, we do have to give a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. We are going to talk about the Masked Singer. I'm going to give you a quick update on the last update of the year for Mario Kart. But after that, we're going to give you we're going to have spoilers for the Masked Singer. We're going to talk about it. If you don't want to hear about it, after I tell you about the Mario Kart and esports banquet in general, you can turn it off. But if you want to listen to us and not watch us on Facebook, check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Rich, if they're listening to us and they want to watch us, but they don't like Mark Zuckerberg, what should they do?
Find us look us up on YouTube, as you can get the same view and audio that the folks over on Facebook get with YouTube. And Mike, if they're watching us on either YouTube or on Facebook, and they don't want to take us wherever they go, where can they find the show?
I already said Podcast Land.
Dang it. Sorry.
That's how I introduced it.
I was getting ready. I was getting ready for our talk with the Masked Singer. But yes, you can find us in podcast in podcast.
If you want to participate in our poll questions, check us out on Facebook.com/fans of balls and sticks or Facebook.com/balls and sticks. Now, let me tell you about. So I booked the banquet for Mario Party or for the esports a few weeks ago. Might have been near a month ago. Got everything worked out. I said we have 15 to 20 athletes plus their parents. Could be around anywhere from 40 to 50 people. They said, okay, no big deal. I also have a presentation. Okay, no big deal.
Okay.
We get there, and I'm like, hey, I'm this guy. Yep, you're ready to go. So I go to the room that where the banquet room is, and there's other people in there. And the other banquet room that they have, there's people in there. I'm like, what? Yeah, we set you up over there in the alcove. We're gonna have like 40 to 50 people. Oh, we don't have seating for that yet. Right. And I'm giving a presentation. What? Yep. I guess I'll give. So I ended up having to host it over there. And then after we got it done, like when I'm doing the presentation, I literally am talking to everybody in the restaurant that's not in the banquet rooms. Not cool. Not cool at all. Anyway, we had a great time. The people there were great. The servers, everybody, like they pulled tables together. They got us situated in the best way possible. They did everything they could. Whoever took everything else did a terrible job. So, anyway, with that, let's move on to the Masked Singer. Rich, Masked Singer ended this week. We got to see the finale. We had the Goldfish going up against the Gumball. Man, so good. I don't think either of these both of these two were good enough. They could have done whatever they wanted. Like, they are great. I loved it. Do you want to talk about it individually of the episode? How do you want to do it, Rich? So
yeah, overall, I guess I wouldn't have been upset either way. But I don't think that there was I think for the first time in a long time, there wasn't. You weren't going into the finale with the mindset of, well, we know who's coming in third, or we know who's not going to win.
Yep.
Either of these performances could have won, and I wouldn't have complained either way.
And so Gumball started the night off with Latch. Did a great job. Like, legitimately, that felt like a series finale, a season finale winning song. And then Goldfish comes out and does Heart of Gold, and legitimately, I thought she didn't do as good as Gumball did in the first with his first song. So I was nervous.
I really wasn't that familiar with either of those songs.
Oh, I thought so. Here's the thing. I think she did a great job with the song. I don't think that song was a great choice, if that makes sense. She did she did the song justice. The problem is the song itself was not a great choice to win the finale. Just wasn't. Then Gumball comes out and does Renegade, and oh my goodness, I'm like, it's over. He won. He legitimately, I thought Renegade, he did so well, he deserved a win at that point. But then Goldfish comes in with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me by Elton John.
For me, when that song started and she started singing that, it was like, she just won.
I agree. Won. Now, I told my wife, if you base it off of the performances tonight, the first performance tonight, I think he wins. His first performance, I thought he had it. His second performance, I thought he had it in the bag. When she came out and saying, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, I was like, ooh, this is going to be close. And if you go throughout the entire series, now here's the thing. Throughout the entire season, she did better overall. She never was in the bottom two. She never faced elimination. She never had to do that. He had to fight his way through the entire season. That's one of the reasons why I thought she deserved to win. But in the end, they both get unmasked. Gumball first being in second place. Rich, as you have been the biggest Gumball fan the whole year, who was it?
It was Scott Porter, who was best known for being in the TV series Friday Night Lights and also the CW show Heartland.
Okay. And then the Goldfish, who has been my front runner all year, was Vanessa Hudgens. I thought she did great. She is famous for High School Musical.
High School Musical, but they both were in the movie Band Slam, which ironically, her band beat out Scott Porter's band. I had never heard of it either.
Okay, well, with that, Rich, let's give. So overall, this season, I actually was happy with the entire season. I don't think there were anything that stood out as a terrible choice for anybody. I don't think anybody went home super early. I think there were a couple. You got one.
Yeah, I really thought that the koala DeMarcus Ware deserved to go further in the show than they did. The fact that he got unmasked as a wild card.
Yeah,
he deserved to go on. I don't remember
at least one more, but I don't think he was as good at. Here's the thing: I don't think it changes who wins or even
no,
who
it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It would not have changed who won.
Right,
but was he better than the people that
he might
was
been
going up against that week?
He might have been. I can give you that. So other than that, I don't think there were any mistakes. Okay, Rich. With that, let's give some shout-outs. My baby boy turns a year old. That's all I'm saying about it. What do you got?
I got 2 birthdays, Mike. My sister-in-law, Ashley Couture's was Thursday, and then my cousin, Lizzie Green, was on Tuesday. So two birthday shout-outs.
Yeah, you had three birthdays this week to deal with. With that, Rich, let's roll the outro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.